Why don't we talk a little bit about the Netflix Warner Brothers deal, or at least Warner Brothers Discovery, where that stands at this point? With Netflix, I know you weren't a fan of that. You said that looked like an anti-monopoly nightmare. Now you've got Paramount Skydance back in the bidding. What do you think of that?
I think it's a bigger nightmare. You know, look, we all remember there are three parts to this deal, kind of three entities. There are the workers who actually pitch the movies, and the screenwriters and the makeup artists and all the people who make the movies. Those people do the work. There are the customers who buy the product, and then there are the investors who keep the thing going. And what's happening right now is Netflix or Paramount are saying, we want to buy Warner Brothers, and we want to go, in the case of Netflix, from being the first biggest streamer, buying up our competition, the fourth biggest streamer, and then be the biggest. And they're telling their investors, we're going to make buckets of money by doing that. And you got to stop and say, how are they planning to make buckets of money from doing that? And is there anybody who thinks that by being a bigger corporation, they'll make better movies? You know, no. What they want to do is they want to squeeze the people who do the work, the people who make the movies. They want to find ways to make fewer movies. They want the people who pitch the movies to have fewer places to go. And they want to be able to charge customers more. And that is the heart of why we have antitrust laws, is that we say, no, you don't get to acquire your competitors, wipe out another element of competition, and then turn around and make money off your enhanced position by squeezing your workers and squeezing your customers. And that's why I have a problem with both of these deals. One of them because of the streaming aspects, one of them because of the movie-making aspects.
Do you think that there is going to be rule of law when it comes to looking at these deals? Are you worried about the influence that anybody's going to put into this? Or
yeah, I like your very gentle anybody. For the first time that I can recall in American history, a big merger has been talked about, has been proposed. It's quite controversial. And remember, controversial on the Democratic side and the Republican side. And the President of the United States has stepped up and said that he plans to be part of the decision-making. And then he steps in and describes one subset of the deal and says, and here's what he thinks should happen to CNN. If that doesn't make the hair on the back of your neck stand up, I don't know what does. Because that's really the President of the United States, it appears, saying, you got to make a deal with me. And that deal with me might involve a $1 million a plate dinner and a gold-encrusted ballroom. It might involve buying crypto coins. It might involve getting rid of a pesky news outfit that I don't like. Shoot, it might involve making movies that only flatter me. Nobody knows, but what we do know is that the President of the United States should not be the one who is the decision maker here. This should be a straightforward application of the law. Gather the facts independently, look at the effect on competition, apply the law, and I believe in the case of both of these mergers, they're pretty clearly illegal under antitrust law, and they should be stopped.
if they're not stopped, will you push to try and undo the mergers down the road?
Absolutely. Because competition is what makes our economy work. Competition, this whole idea that markets are a place where consumers are getting the best deal, where workers are getting the best deal, and where investors are getting the best deal. That's the magic of our system. And antitrust law, I know, can be a very pesky impediment for these multi-billion-dollar companies that don't want to grow by coming up with a better product, don't want to grow by offering better customer service, instead want to grow by buying their competition and shutting down that alternative bidder for the screenplay or that alternative bidder for the customer's business. that antitrust law is there to make these markets work better for all of us. And that's true if we were talking about aluminum or we're talking about making movies. We should all embrace antitrust laws and block these mergers.
Senator, thank you for your time. We're
You bet.
run out of time on the show. We appreciate it, Senator Warren.